Well, hello. My name is Daddy-O, and I do some YouTube stuff. I'm going to do a little griping today. I got 4 things I want to talk about. So if anyone out there has got a connection at Uber, please send them this video. All right? I got some things. These are just, I can't say they're gripes. They're my advice. They would help me. So if you have anything after watching this, watch the whole video. Get to the end of this, because the one at the end here, I think a lot of drivers will agree with, would help. So, Uber, if you're listening, just help us a little bit. I get these things all the time, wanting you to go to these meetings online and all that. They invite you to these things with another 1,000 Uber drivers all at one time, I presume. I haven't never wanted to do that. These are just my little things here. So if you've got any ideas that you think would help you doing Uber, leave them in the comments here. Let's talk about this, because here's my, and some of these, a couple of these are simple. The couple at the end here, I would love to have. All right, something simple to me, and you can do it in the app, but once you've accepted a run on Uber and it's daytime, let's say, or still daylight, once you're on that run, you can't go over to your account and go into settings and switch over to the dark mode. So what happens is, if you're doing run after run after run, all of a sudden you're in daylight when you started this session, and all of a sudden you're getting into dark time, and your phone is still on, assuming it hasn't switched over. That's not accurate. If you want to switch it on to automatic, it does not always work. All right. And if it's a cloudy day, late in the afternoon, it gets a little darker a little earlier, I want to switch over, but I'm doing run after run after run. I can't get into my account to get into settings to switch over to dark mode. I would love to see a feature on the front of your phone, so that you can switch in between light and dark mode right there. You don't have to finagle with your phone, or you're locked out because you're on runs and you can't get back into your settings. That's just one I would love to be able to see on the front of the phone. Just be able to go from light mode to dark mode. So if anyone out there's got a connection with Uber, watch this video, please, and send them that suggestion. Number 2 on my list here, and this is an easy one. I would love to have just a stop runs button that you can just go to instantly. If you had a little slide over menu on the app, so that you could get to some of this kind of stuff right there instantly without having to finagle with your phone while you're driving. Safety first here. Let's talk about this. So a little button on your phone where you can switch over to stop runs. In other words, because I turn a lot of runs down when I'm on a run. If I've got people in the car, I'm entertaining. I'm working the tips. If you've watched some of my videos, I'm working the tip angle. I don't want to be continuously bombarded with Uber trying to send me the next run. No, I just let me be able to go, once I've picked up my ride, let me instantly be able to go over. You can scroll up and do all that. I don't like finagling with your phone. All right? Once I get people in the car, I'm set to go. So a little button on there so that you can just stop runs temporarily. And when you're done with, the people get out and everything, you can just go right back to it. Let's work this out, guys. Ask AI. It'll help you out, okay? A stop runs button. That's my number 2 thing, okay? Number 3 here. Now, this is a biggie. These last 2 here are biggies. And I think all drivers out there, if you're an Uber driver and you've been driving for any period of time, you're going to want to see these go into effect, because this, I tell people not to worry about your acceptance rate, but one of the big things that hurts people, Uber, if you're listening, is the fact that we can't set our own zones. There are people out here that do Uber, women that have children in school, they can't do a 100-mile run. They can't do a 200-mile run. Don't send it to them. Let people set their own zone, and that's the zone they want to. That's the zone that you send them runs for. You can offer them runs outside of that zone in a certain area that they could set up another, I will go, I want to do only 10-mile run in this 10-mile zone from my home. All right, you set that as your zone, but you also can set a second zone that you will consider. And they can send you runs, but if it's outside of your basic zone, don't count it against me. Don't let it go against my acceptance rate. All right, it's when they send you run after run after run that's 30, 40 miles away, 50 miles away, and you sitting there continuously going, no, 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 I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. Your acceptance rate is going down. And a lot of people will accept those runs because they don't want to hurt their acceptance rate. They get wrapped up into that. All right, Uber, let us set our own zones. Let offers runs in that. I'll take, you let me set my own zone, I'll take every run inside of it. My acceptance rate would be Mac Daddy. But because you say, no, you're going to count it against us because I didn't take that 150-mile ride, you're going to count that against me. So there are people out here that work Uber that might have a disabled person at home that they have to stay close by. There's reasons that they can't go far. Allow us to be able to set that area as our home. You would have a lot of happier drivers. Uber. Now I'm talking to Uber today, so please, someone send this video to Uber. Now, if you've got any of these suggestions along that, because you're an Uber driver, if you have any suggestions that you think Uber might need to hear about, put them in the comment section. All right, comment, subscribe, ring the bell, do all that. Buy Daddy-O a cup of coffee down below. Just stay in tune, because I'm going to talk about Uber stuff right now, because I'm getting so many comments from drivers out there that are doing what I've been talking about doing on other videos. I'm not getting into that today. I've done a lot of that, so if you want to go and hear about that, go back and look at some of the other videos. But today I'm talking about some of my basic gripes and being able to set up your own zone to work in, your own parameters. This is the age of AI. AI should be able to know that 99.9% of all the runs I do is in a certain area. AI should be able to read that. I mean, come on. This is, Uber should be on tap to what drivers are doing and what runs they're turning down, and stop offering those runs far away if you're not going to give us our own zones. My suggestions, my thoughts, I've been doing this a long damn time. I'm a 5.0 with over 10,000, almost 700 now, 10,700 rides, and I'm a 5.0. I've been doing this a long time. I have my own system of work. Go watch the videos if you want to. The final one, my biggest gripe right now, is fares. Uber has had the same freaking fares for I don't know how long. Nothing's changed. The economy's changed. Uber has not passed it on to the drivers. I think Uber, it's time to come on. Things are different out here. I see cab companies, and I've done videos on this before. There are cab companies out here for in my area to take someone to the airport in the big city, which is a 35-minute ride. To take someone over there, the average Uber price they offer the driver is anywhere from $13, and on occasion you may see one go over $20. The local scumbag cab companies, and I'm sorry I'm calling them that because I know them all by name, the local companies here, the minimum right now they're charging to take someone to the airport is $85. The driver puts $85 in his pocket. Now, at the end of the day, he still has to do what I do. I pay a fee. He has to pay a fee, to his taxi company of, $65, $70 they charge. Some of them around here charge the drivers per mile. So every mile they go, they have to, a portion of that money goes, straight to the company. So there's different ways companies do that. But anyway, that's my gripe. The fares here the fares now are the same they were back when I started. Nothing's changed. Nothing's gone up. They haven't passed it on. People out here are used to paying more than what the Uber fares are by a bunch. So yeah, we're the discount company. You might as well look at it that way. We're the discount company. You see these cab companies going by in the doors, and I pick up people after they've rode in some of these companies, and they talk about the smell. You hear these stories out here if you're out here working. Yeah, and they're doing good, but I'm that's not me. But anyway, the fares need to go up. Uber, if you're listening, God dang it, man, about time. Do something for us. So I ran these off to switch to light, a little button on your damn phone so you can switch it from light to dark instantly without having to go back into settings and all that kind of BS. That is a pain in the butt, all right, especially when you're going from a period of time of daylight, early evening, right into darkness. And that your phone's still blaring at you. Yeah, you can turn your screen down and all that kind of stuff. I understand all that. But Uber, make it simple for us, if you would. Just put a button on there. Come on. And then number 2 I said was a stop runs button. God dang it. Please, I want to be able to just stop runs instantly. Just reach on the screen, go stop, and restart my runs. Just on and off. That's all you got to do. You can do that. I know you can. All right. And then the other one is set up my zones. I want to be able to set up my own freaking zone. That's a big one. Please. My acceptance rate would be unbelievable. My acceptance rate this morning was 11%. I've told you why I do that. But anyway, set up my own zone. Jeez, let me do that. I don't want to be offered all that BS stuff. Anyway, and then up the fares. We need to up the fares. Come on. It's about time. Get off the duff. So these are my complaints and my gripes. If you got any, put them down in the comment section. Maybe someday someone will pass this video on to Uber, and Uber will say, oh God, I feel bad for those guys. Yeah, right. Anyway, Daddy-O out for the day, and thank you for the new subscribers. So subscribe, ring the bell, buy Daddy-O a cup of coffee. God, he needs to drink some coffee. He needs to stay awake. Daddy-O out. Bye.